Hello friends, I'm Kayla. Welcome back to my channel. It's the first wrap up of 2024. If you're new here, you might not know, I find wrap ups painfully boring. I don't watch them. I wish I didn't have to watch this one. So I ask for people's advice of how to organize it to keep things interesting for myself. And this comment came in last time that said Rob should organize it based on worst to best cover. So I figured let's do it. How would you like to participate in a video?
What are we doing?
I would love for you to rank these from best to worst cover.
Oh, okay. That's fine.
Oh my god.
Now what am I basing it off? Just what I like?
Yeah, it's just your preferences.
My lowest is yearning, race, gender, and culture politics.
Okay.
I just chose it because it's boring.
This was my first 5-star of the year. Bell hooks, never misses. She's never out of date. This was read because it came out in 1990 and I'm doing a video series this year. It's a collection of essays with lots of insight about people and relationships and prejudice and oppression. It taught me some things I didn't know. It let me know bell hooks better and her passion for media, her love of art, and her ability to very well critique it and its impact on humanity.
The Quiet Tenant. Seems like it's just a picture. Like, I mean, it doesn't feel creative. I feel it's just all sepia tone, putting me to sleep.
Clémence Michelin is a French author who I would read from again. Unfortunately, this one I gave a 2.75. It's a suspense novel that I think would really appeal to true crime lovers. There is this man who is charming and everybody thinks that he's perfect. He's the perfect candidate for somebody who could get away with the type of crime he commits, which is killing women. We're following someone who's being held captive and her journey of escape. Absolutely nothing wrong with this. It's just not my type of story.
So Biography of X, I don't mind the red, but I don't like the cut up face. It throws me off for some reason. It just feels wrong.
I definitely prefer Catherine Lacey in short format. I read Pew, which was only like 100 pages, and I would love to see her write short fiction, short stories if she hasn't done that before, because she has these really interesting concepts. This I gave a 3. It just kind of got bogged down. I wouldn't want to read a biography in the first place, so a fictional biography is not the most interesting. We are following this woman whose wife recently died and somebody wrote a biography about her and she is challenging what was said in it and wants to tell the real story, even though her wife was extremely secretive, kept things from her and the public. She's this art figure, has a relative amount of fame attached to her. It had interesting things to say about ethics and art and how well you can know someone and how you can tell someone else's story when you are too close to the subject, if you can do it accurately. I was just bored.
I, who have never known men, I just feel like it's MS Paint. I feel like it's very simple. And I don't like the red and blue next to each other. It just feels like really weirdly framed. I don't know. Also, curved top, squared bottom, you're killing me. We're here for consistency, thank you.
Jacqueline Hartman originally published this in 1995 and it's gotten republished recently and people have just been eating it up and I totally get it. I gave it a 5. It's about this group of women who are being held in this underground bunker, don't know how they got there. Their memories are foggy. One of the 40 women is younger than the rest. They wonder why she was even involved. Is this like a test? Are they being protected from something? Like they have no idea what's happening. And then one day, something happens and they leave. It's this unplanned escape and now they are surviving above ground. We're mostly following through the youngest person's perspective and everything that she sees happen around her as they enter this unfamiliar world.
Okay, it's so shiny. I can't even read it. Salt Slow? It's just too busy. I can't deal with that.
That's one of my favorites.
It's just too busy.
I wanted to love this so much. I read Julia Armfield's Our Wives Under the Sea and adored it, so I thought a short story collection would be great. If I had read this before that, I think I would have enjoyed not it more, but my experience with Our Wives in the Sea even more, because there are so many concepts in here introduced that you can see how they got taken and built into this larger novella. It's about the complexity of women. It's unapologetically violent, weird, queer. Some of the stories are futuristic, some of them are surreal, and it's about relationships and personal journeys. I only gave one story in this entire thing 5 stars, and it was the collectibles, and all the rest were a 3, so I gave it a 3. I think some of the themes, though they were great, ended up being really repetitive, and the messaging I just wanted a little bit more from it.
19 claws and a blackbird is okay on the boring side. The colors are nice together.
Yeah.
But a little boring.
Another short story collection I picked up because I loved a book from this author. Augustina Bastarrica wrote Tenders the Flesh. This was translated by somebody not on the cover, Sarah Moses. Unfortunately, I gave this a 2. There was only one story in here I gave above a 2, and it was called Candy Pink. No, that's not true. There are a couple 3s in here, but not very many, and quite a few 1s. So this feels more conceptual. There's 20 in here, and this is only 154 pages. It feels like concepts that could be given to a creative writing class, and they're meant to take it and build it into a larger story. If I had to pick a theme, I would say it is about exploring the human experience through a lot of lenses. It is in the horror category. There was a lot of uncomfortable and dark things to read for sure, not in a fun way. There was child abuse. There was a lot of self-harm. There was a lot of it written in second person, so it put you in the shoes of people being assaulted. But then there was also just some like weird quirky things, like a woman who wanted to become a circle. Some of the stories were about obsession. I just think overall it felt like a lot of ramblings.
Everyone on this train is a suspect.
Yeah, roast that one.
It just feels childish for some reason when I look at it.
Get him.
Like, I don't mind it, but I mean, like, I almost would have liked if they kept the back, but the knife was like a real knife or something that kind of felt not as flat. It feels flat to me, even though it's colorful.
I like that one. This was so kindly sent to me by the publisher because I loved Everybody in My Family Has Killed Someone by Benjamin Stevenson. This is the sequel where we're following the same main guy in this story. He has written the first book that we already read, and now he's on this journey on a train with a bunch of other authors to this event, and one of them dies on the train, and he, amongst the rest of the writer community, thinks that they're going to be able to solve the crime. So some of them take, experiences they've had, things they've written in their books, research that they've done. Some of them are incredibly stupid. Some of them have committed the crime. So there's a lot of different personalities to contend with. I gave it a 4. I think just overall, it was good. It kept the same gimmick as the first one, which is like direct to reader, letting you in on everything, saying things like, since this is a sequel to my book, here's what you might expect to happen. But naturally, just being a sequel, I wasn't as invested in the mystery this time around. It wasn't as funny, not as pretentious, but still really well written. It was published just this last week, I think, and I would definitely recommend it for fans of the first book.
Disorientation.
Yeah.
It's weirdly busy for only having 2 colors. It feels weird to me when I look at it.
Makes you feel weird.
It makes me feel disoriented, which I guess is the point. So I guess it's on brand.
This is Lane Shay Chow's debut novel. I would read more from her. I gave it a 3. It's a really familiar satire academic kind of book. We are following this woman who is a PhD candidate, and she is discovering things about the poet she's been researching and writing about for years that makes her think maybe we shouldn't be supporting him the way that we have. Is he who we thought he was? It had great conversations about ethics and who should be creating what kind of art. It got definitely unhinged and strange, as you'd expect from this type of story. I thought it was a little bit long. I felt a little bit bored. Maybe I just didn't connect to all of the characters in the storyline the way that I wanted. I wanted to give it more than a 3, but I would definitely recommend this. Of all the things that I've rated, if you want to call this a low rating, I would recommend this the most amongst that group.
Do we have to say anything about this one?
Well, yeah,
Mayfly?
you didn't put it at the very bottom, you put it in the middle.
The reason it's in the middle is I really like the style, I like the art. I don't want to see that many teeth. That freaks me the frig out.
CJ Lead managed to write something so like nothing I've ever read from before, but also a combination of so many familiar tropes that it was a very strange experience, and I struggled with my rating at the end, but I am giving it a 4. We're following this woman who is a Disney princess, but she also has a penchant for hurting people. You're following her navigating various friendships and relationships. There is like a romance kind of at the heart of this, and her and this guy, the dates that they go on and the things that they do to other people, it's full of sex and murder. It was kind of fun, but it's also like the most obnoxious main character ever. It does explore things that she's been through. It explores why she's doing what she's doing, and I think people are just going to come away from this book feeling like across the board, everybody completely differently about this woman.
The eyes are the best part. All I can think of is Wolverine. It just feels unoriginal to me.
What are you saying?
It feels like Wolverine with his claws.
Oh.
It feels like it's meant to be somewhere else.
Those are chopsticks.
That's funny. But I like it because of that. So that's why it's the best of the worst.
Got it.
Do you want me to wipe these and start the next one?
Oh gosh. Another book kindly sent to me by the publisher. This one wasn't on my radar until I read it for reading TikTok's favorite books. Definitely check out that video. I'll link it down below. This is about a woman who is in a very transitional, unclear part of life. She's just starting college. She lost all of her friends. Her parents are separated. So she's just starting these new friendships and relationships in school environment. Everything is chaotic when her mother starts dating this white guy who is fetishizing Asian women, and including her family, herself, her sister, and she begins to obsess about his eyeballs. She sees them everywhere. She's hallucinating them, dreaming them, can't stop until she is able to consume one. I gave it a 4. It has pretty consistent violence for like the second half, but it was like silly and grotesque all at the same time, which was a really great combination. If you love following an unhinged girl on a revenge mission and you don't want too much like mystery, it's pretty much just thrills. I don't know if it's technically thriller or technically horror. Definitely recommend it when it comes out in June.
What a match.
I love that.
I love it. It's really nice. Even though it's very like simple earth tones, I really like it. It just looks really nice. It looks like a picture that someone drew, like an artist drew of. It's really cool. And
an
then
artist did draw it.
Well, I mean, like
Her name's Lenny Kaufman.
I meant of an actual picture. Like it's like they were looking at a couple and they drew it right there and gave it to them. Like
I pretty much immediately bought 2 more Mimi Grace books after reading this one. I gave it 4 stars. It's a low stakes romance. Can't wait to read more from this author. It follows a teacher and a guy who owns a boxing gym, and he begins to sleep on her couch because they both like they have a mutual, well, it's her brother and his friend. I don't know what you'd call that, a mutual person in their life who kind of forces them into forced proximity. It's a forced proximity situation, and she is obsessed with dating and finding the one. And he's kind of just there every time she comes back from a date, it didn't go well, or maybe the date didn't show up, and so he is a stand-in. Great sexual chemistry, super vivid and atmospheric fall setting. Definitely recommend.
The Paleontologist. I'm a sucker for dinosaurs.
Yeah, why is it so low?
The reason it's low is because I like the picture. I find the font and the color of the font doesn't match for me.
Okay.
So it's this high only because of the picture, because it's a dinosaur and I'm a boy. Only reason.
You look like you're trying to injure my books the way
Sorry,
you're
I have.
stabbing at them.
I'm just so.
The last time I read Luke Dumas, I gave him a 4, and I thought he was gonna be one of my favorites. And then this just felt like it was written by a completely different person. I gave it around a 2. It's a haunted museum story. I can't believe I didn't like a haunted museum story. I think I just kind of hated the main character's speaking style, the way he narrated the story, constantly referencing this big secret that is in the synopsis. He has a missing sister. That's why he is going back to this museum and getting a job. There's a lot about the job, about the office workplace dynamics. It is during the beginning of COVID, so there's a lot of conversation about that and how people are responding to things. It was never once scary. It was more of a mystery, so maybe I just picked it up with different expectations. But even then, like, I love a mystery. I think his growth as a person was interesting to follow. It was sentimental. He was just getting out of a relationship and learning a lot about himself, but that's not what I'm looking for in this type of story.
Minor detail. Probably should rank higher, to be honest. But I really like the idea of it. I like the picture and they're ripped. It just feels like very menacing for some reason, but dry.
Okay.
I like it. It succeeds at what it's trying to do, being black and white as well.
This novella by Adanya Shibley, translated by Elizabeth Jaquette, is absolutely heartbreaking. I gave it 5 stars. It's incredibly written about this woman looking into like a document that shares a detail about a Palestinian girl being murdered by Israeli soldiers. And because of the date that it happened on, she feels like there's something calling her to it, so she wants to investigate further and puts her own life at risk learning about it. Half the book is also the actual event that occurred and the things that these soldiers did to this girl. It is haunting and devastating and very real, much like what's currently happening in Gaza, something that is difficult to be confronted with, but necessary to be witnessing.
Her Majesty's Royal Coven. I just really like the pop. I like that it's a bold color, but then it's like all black behind it as far as the picture goes.
They can't
it looks
see
really
it. Your hand is so big.
The black art is really nice, and to have white on top of it, having 3 layers of contrast is really cool. Just like your eyes are really drawn to specific spots.
So
that's really cool.
I bought that from the UK and paid like $10 extra to get that cover.
Because you didn't like the other one, I saw it in your video.
Oh. Juno Dawson is an author that I'm very intrigued by after reading this, and I think I would read more. I only ended up giving this a 3, and I think maybe it's because of the length and because it lacked a little bit of the friendship connection I really wanted, and that exists in a lot of like comp titles for this. But this is about an older group of women who have this coven, Her Majesty's Royal Coven. They're protecting things, and there's this possibility that some demonic prophecy will come true. And there's a lot of talk about like fighting against the status quo in here, different covens that are more inclusive, who should be involved in this coven, who should be welcomed, shaking up a lot of these women's friendship dynamics, what they care about. They're here to protect and teach a younger generation of witches as well, and there's somebody coming into it who doesn't feel welcome. I think the characters really carried the story. The plot and the connections weren't my favorite, but I liked the writing of this so much, and like it could have been great, which is why a 3 star is not bad, but it's so devastating to me because I love how it looks and I love everything it had to say. But it's another one that I would pretty easily recommend.
The rise and fall of the dinosaurs just looks very iconic to me, very historic, very something like I would read when I was a kid, like very 90s style cover of a book that I probably saw in science class in grade 9. That's just very feels right to me.
I don't know if I can give a very clear reason of why I gave this a 4.5 and not a 5. Would a history book of this nature ever get a 5? I'm not sure. This guy, Stephen Brusotti, is a paleontologist, and he spends this book, 400 pages of this book, teaching us about the rise and the fall of the dinosaurs, giving information about not just how dinosaurs came to be, all of the different types, how they engaged with each other, but about how paleontologists discovered those things, how and when they found certain clues that meant different variables were present that they hadn't considered before. So this is really insightful and engaging the entire time. Lots of pictures. I think I did this one a mix of the audiobook and the physical book, if I'm remembering correctly. But since I don't, I can't recommend one over the other.
Trees of the Emerald Sea is just...
Try again.
Oh, Tress. Huh. Tress. I put it that high because font is awesome, very fairy tale. And I love the moonlit silhouette is just always gorgeous. I love it. And I love the colors, the gradient sky. It just works really well.
You should
love
read
it.
that one. She's a pirate.
Does she know Luffy?
Probably not.
Okay.
The possible love of Tress's life has been whisked away. He's been gone for a long time. And when she discovers that he's not or wasn't exactly where she thought he was all of this time. So she ends up on this adventure, runs off, joins various pirate ships, is going across various seas. Seas not made of water, but made of spores, which is a very unique and interesting kind of take on a pirate story, not that I've read a lot, but she is determined to find this boy and save him from the sorceress's clutches. I gave it a 4. I really liked how it was written. I liked the style of it a lot. Tress is a very vivid character, as well as all of the side characters. It's about everybody like kind of working together and finding their purpose, and it was just a fun read. I'm surprised that one's so high.
I put this one so high because I love that not only it looks like they use the fonts and the wording is in, like, they just cut it out of paper and it actually has like the silhouette and shadows behind it. It just looks really cool, catches your eye, simple.
There is something about Kevin Wilson's writing style. I can't even pinpoint what it is. I think I need to read more from him. He needs to publish some more because there's just some kind of quality that does something for me. We're following these teenagers who become fast friends, and they create this piece of artwork that change it, like it's real life, but it's a little surrealism, a little bit strange, because people around the world take this phrase and take this artwork and make it into something else. It becomes a global thing. Deaths occur because of it somehow. Think of it kind of like how Coney 2012 like swept the world. You saw it everywhere, and it became like something, you recognized it before you even knew what it meant. And many people took it and ran with it just because they wanted to be a part of something. So this main girl that we're following continues to obsess about her own work. She follows it through her entire life. She feels guilty about what it's caused, but she continues to copy and print all of these posters with the art and plaster it everywhere. So she's consistently contributing to whatever it's doing. And as an adult, someone has found out that she's the one responsible for the artwork and is giving her a chance to tell her story and what really happened. And we don't really know what happened between this friendship, where they're at as adults, and so we learn all about them in those 2 different timelines and what happened between them. It was just a really fun and interesting time. I gave it a 4. I don't know if I said that. It was perfectly strange, and I don't know what my reason is for not giving it a full 5, but I think it's because I am comparing it to the last thing I read from him, which is one of my favorite books of the year.
Lone Women is just a badass, like that looks like someone is just like ready for, I don't even know, like war.
Yeah,
this looks like is she? It almost has a story in itself. It's very nice. Very well thought and well laid out. Almost has like it actually has like a very Wild West feeling.
It is, it's a Western.
Oh, cool. So it makes sense. It's really, the font really definitely feels like it.
Victor Laval kills it with atmosphere. This is set, it's like a Western novel. This woman at the beginning of the book is fleeing her family home. It's set on fire. Her parents are dead, and all she has is this trunk. She's traveling with this trunk, and she's going to a different community, and she has this opportunity to tend to this land, and if the government says she does it well enough after a certain amount of years, then she can claim ownership of it, which Black women at this time have not had the opportunity to do. So it's about her engaging with these different relationships, getting to know various people, and what's in the trunk is revealed and kicks off a whole other storyline at the same time. It's such an easy book to spoil. I liked a lot about it. It does get bizarre, which I wanted to love. I ended up just giving it a 3 because I wanted it to be a really character-driven, relationship-driven connection kind of book. It felt like it could have been that, but it was more plot focused. But because I saw qualities in it that reminded me of Isabel Cañas, I wanted it to have more of that kind of vibe.
I mean, do I have to say anything? That's just gorgeous. Mislaid in parts, half known.
Killed it. Upside down reading is hard.
Very hard. Not only is it a door to seeing like dinosaurs and stuff, but having like this creepy ent feeling doorway is just badass. Like you're looking into a tree into another dimension.
The 9th book in the Wayward Children series by Seanan McGuire was my first 4 that I've given out. I think that it felt to me like a necessary book for a certain character to exist to get certain closure for Ancy, because we met her in the last book. She lives in this annex where she can access various doors, and her whole thing is she can easily find things. And this book completes her story and has a lot of really great moments where she gets to stand up for herself. She doesn't want to be taken advantage of by her previous thing that happened to her, and also the children at the school might want to use her to find their doors, because that's the whole thing, is everybody wants to get back to their magical world. And she has a lot of moments of confronting her past and standing up for herself, but it was a little too sentimental and not enough fun action. We are on a quest with a group of kids. We visit briefly a couple different worlds, which is fun, but I wanted a little bit more from it. It was necessary for the character. It didn't feel necessary for the series.
Dinosaurs. Oh, just dinosaurs.
A novel.
A novel. I mean, honestly, I just love phoenixes, and that's just very cool.
Is that what that is?
Yeah, it's a phoenix with fire around it. And then having like the almost feels like spray painted font is really cool.
I have all but forgotten what this Lydia Millet is. I remember what it's about, but I don't really remember scene to scene. So it's about this guy who has a lot of money and he's looking to find purpose in life, to volunteer various places. He moves into this really fancy home and he doesn't really know what to do with his money and his time, and he ends up getting really close to his neighbors, involves himself in this marriage, takes care of their kids a lot, and it's just about his journey, seeing a lot of birds. He's talking about a lot of birds. Every chapter starts with a bird. He sees a dead bird, he sees a bird in the tree, the bird's squawking at him. I gave it a 3. It was definitely in line with what I know from this author. I loved a children's Bible, but I don't know that I fully got the point of it at the end. Maybe it was a 3.5. How come both times I finished Lydia Millet books, I felt like I didn't fully read them? Like I missed something and I want to reread it. Because that's the exact same thing I said when I read a children's Bible.
Gentry? Oh, the center. Angle on
That's
the G.
my favorite.
I like the fact that it looks very realistic, but the closer you look, the more drawn it looks. And the colors, beautiful colors. Can't go wrong with Venus flytraps.
We found another 5-star. Aisha Menazir Siddiqui wrote this book about this translation place that you can go, and you can, in a very short amount of time, because you're cut off from everything, communication, talking to anybody else, doing anything, seeing, like you're just stuck in this environment and you are taught this language. In like a week, you can speak the language fluently. And this woman gets invited or gets told about it by her boyfriend. And when she becomes involved in this like institute, she becomes kind of obsessed with it, is constantly pulled back into it, and she wants to dive deeper into what it truly is. We get to know her really well, and it brings up a lot of questions like, is she a good partner? Are her life perspectives contradicting? The book doesn't spell out a lot for you. It just leaves you with this portrait of a woman that you can interpret her actions a lot of different ways. Interpreting is what she does with her ability to learn these different languages, and you learn about the books that she's translating. And I thought it was just really interesting. It gave this seemingly solid idea of who this woman was at the beginning, and then I think you just get to question her throughout the book while you follow her getting deeper into this business.
The Wonder State, honestly, is the one that caught my eye right off the pile through all of them, because not only is it a negative space picture, as much as it's all shiny, but it doesn't feel busy. It feels so intentional. I'm looking into an inferno. I love it. It's just so cool.
This is by Sarah Flannery Murphy. I know she has some other popular books people have read. This was my first time with her and I gave her a 4. Would definitely read more. It's another dual timeline one where we're following a group of teenagers and then we're also following them as adults. And as teens, they discover this series of houses that are a little bit weird, a little bit magical. Like one of them you go into and you can't tell a lie, but it's also hard to prove that these things are really happening and who they're affecting within the house. So they have this close bond because they're the only people who have experienced these houses, but they're also questioning each other and the validity of what's going on constantly. And then as adults, they're pulled back to the town. Some of them never left. Some of them have been far flung. And because of an agreement that they made, they would always come back. And now they have to confront, you know, what they did as teens. One of their friends is now missing, so they have to solve that. And also it's like, are they gonna finish what they started? It was so interesting. It's another one I wanted to be a 5 and it felt like it could be a 5, but it didn't quite get there.
Jurassic Park is just so iconic. It had to be top 3.
Is that a favorite for you because you have a connection to the movie? Like if you had never heard of it or seen it before, would you rank it that high?
Probably not. It's very iconic to me though. Like the picture, like I just love that. Like for how simple it is, it's so cool.
I don't probably need to pitch a Michael Crichton to you, but this is about a crazy man with an island who figures out and brings in this team of people to figure out how to bring dinosaurs back to life. He is very dedicated. He has a love for these dinosaurs, that he also wants them to be what he imagined them to be in childhood and not necessarily what they were in actuality. So things get dangerous on the island. We're following the first group of people who are coming to tour it. He wants to make it into an amusement park. I ended up giving it a 4. It's very fast-paced science fiction horror. The characters are very vivid, even though some of them are insufferable.
And then I have this one as 2 and I have these 2 as tied. I mean, I just love that. Just feels like a video game. That's why I chose this one. Between anime and video game, this is like right in the center for me.
It's not because her ass is out.
I mean, only like 50%.
J.R. Hogan, author of the series The Lost Girls. It's the first book in this smutty series. I don't have smut as a part of my genre distinguishing in my chart, in my graphics. I guess I have to put it into romance, which feels wrong, but it's about this professor and his students who accidentally time travel. I love accidental time travel. And they go to the past where there are dinosaurs and they're in danger. I love a survival story. And then they end up all sleeping with this professor and creating a harem. And they also have to figure out why they time traveled and what's happening. Throughout the story, items of theirs start appearing on the island and they're trying to figure out how it got there, how they can get back. I was very aggravated because there's one moment where he does something, messes up her glasses, and then a couple scenes later, one of the things they find on the island is a bag of toiletries, and the fact that there was no glasses cleaner for her to clean up what happened, even though that's the one item that she received, was very upsetting to me. There was some biology that didn't make a lot of sense. It was not particularly well written. I didn't really like anything about it, but I'm not rating it, and maybe you could like it.
Born a Crime. I love that they have a real photo as the top layer, backed up by a, what do you call that?
A mural?
No, I know a mural, but like, what's he, like cartoonified or not pixelated? Anyways, having a mural of him on there just looks really cool.
Did it grab your attention because you know his face?
No, I like the style actually. I didn't realize it was Trevor Noah until I just said it.
Oh. This was a really solid collection. I don't know if you'd call it a memoir, because what makes a memoir? It was just stories. It didn't have like a real link going through everything. It wasn't year by year. It was just these anecdotes from his childhood, various things, life lessons that he's made from experiences that he's had. Some of them were funny. Some of them were like situations his friends got him into. We read about his first kiss. We read about him going to a dance. And then interspliced is a history of South Africa, which was very interesting to read. I think if you're already a fan of Trevor Noah, it gives good insight into like how he became the person he is today, what he cares about. For someone who doesn't know anything about him, I still found it engaging and interesting. He has a really good storytelling style, and I would read more from him. And those are the 25 things that I read in the month of January. I do need a break, but no rest for the wicked. Next vlog is already on deck. So I'll see you in just a couple days with that. Love you as a friend. Bye! Thanks so much, babe. You really made this video happen. Oh my god, that was good.